All right, guys. So it's officially playoff week, baby. We got some big-time updates, both on Zay Flowers, injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a bold statement from Derrick Henry, John Harbaugh with a cold stone. You got to hear some of the quotes from his presser. And Rich Eisen talking about the threat the Ravens are to win the entire thing, the Super Bowl championship, and much more, man. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock, as always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Baltimore Ravens today. It's officially playoff week, baby. The Baltimore Ravens will be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. All the chips on the table. The Ravens won one earlier in the season, lost another in the season. So the Ravens and Steelers 1-1. But what matters, right, where the history books are written, what makes a difference, right, is the NFL playoffs. What will Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry, John Harbaugh, the defense, Zach Orr, Todd Monken, how will they respond to the first 2 matchups with the Pittsburgh Steelers? What will they do, man? Let's dive into the content. At number 1, I need you guys to hear what Derrick Henry, the future Hall of Fame absolute stud running back who had 24 carries for 162 yards the last time he played the Pittsburgh Steelers. I need you to hear what he had to say regarding the last time that he was in the AFC Championship. And he says, you guys were there last year, but it's going to be different. It's got to be different. Here's what he had to say.
I had to say, I've been there on a individualize myself for SC Championship. I haven't been back in like 5 years. Y'all were there last year. I know we got to be different. You know, it's time to lock in. You feel me? Like, got to be different on all phases. Every single day. Hold each other accountable. No matter what happens, stay with it. Like, you got to be different this time. I think y'all know that, and we all feel that. We all know what we're capable of. So let's go get it. Don't leave no doubt each and every day. Let's go get that, bro.
Yeah. The reason Derrick Henry was brought to Baltimore was because of what happened in the AFC Championship last year. It's because of playoff January football. It's because he can take over a football game. It's because he takes pressure off Lamar Jackson. It's because he's an absolute workhorse that wears down a defense, especially late in the season in January cold football at the bank. Man, we talked about before the season even ever started. We said the aura, right? I can't believe I even just said that word, but the fact that Derrick Henry is going to be in all blacks with the black visor on Sunday Night Football, the energy that's going to put out, we've gotten glimpses of it, but there's going to be a whole nother level of energy whenever it's going against the division rival Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs Saturday night. Going to be cold. Fired up for this game, man. I would be lying if I told you I wasn't a little nervous about this game. There's many factors on why, which we'll get into here in a little bit, but I'm very confident that the Ravens are going to go on a run, and Derrick Henry is going to be a big part of it. At number 2, John Harbaugh provided a couple of updates on specifically Zay Flowers and some other guys, but there was a series of questions where John Harbaugh was not playing around, not messing around. Today was not the day for John Harbaugh. He's locked in, man. He's sending the tone. He's setting the tone. So I want you guys to hear some of these questions. And obviously they're meant to have elaboration and you know, he's just said yes for all these questions, man. Check them out.
Hey, John. I know we've asked you kind of variations of this question all season, but do you feel now that you're going into the playoffs that Derrick Henry gives you a different element than you've had in recent years and really in your whole tenure here?
Yes. John, a big narrative, of course, this week will be Lamar and, you know, his 2-4 record in the playoffs. I know you've always used the term a lot of times about how players kind of get calloused, you know, how they get, you know, have to go through some experiences, whether physically. Do you think the past experiences that Lamar has had, will that serve him well going forward?
Yes.
Coach, I don't know if this will elicit an elaborate answer, but Lamar said after the game the other day was sort of a T-shirt and hat game, and he's really focused on what's ahead. Is that sort of the team focus and your focus and sort of the message?
Yes.
So an update on Zay Flowers. He will probably miss 1 to 3 weeks. All right. I don't think he's going to play against the Steelers. John Harbaugh said it's not season ending. Here's what he had to say.
It's not a season-ending injury, so it's just going to be day to day. Try to do everything he can do to get back as soon as he can, and we'll see where that takes us.
So by saying it's not season ending, that implies that it's probably more than just a week, right? He did try to throw in day to day after he said that, to probably try to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers off balance, not knowing if he's going to play or not. I don't think he's going to play. It'd be great if he did, because he had 5 catches for 100 yards the last time the Ravens-Steelers played. He averaged 20 yards a catch. He was explosive. He was a big-time playmaker on third down as well. So Zay Flowers not being able to go, it definitely puts a damper on the offense, because the Steelers can blitz more without fear of Zay Flowers breaking loose. He's obviously Lamar's wide receiver 1. He made a Pro Bowl this season. He's a 1,000-yard receiver. Not having wide receiver 1 is huge. We can't just gloss over that, right? But the Ravens got some other weapons, and it may not be a ton at the wide receiver position right now, but let's not pretend like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely aren't capable of carrying the load in the passing attack. They absolutely are. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both had touchdowns the last time they played Pittsburgh, and they're going to be definitely relied upon. Derrick Henry is also going to be relied upon. That's another weapon we got to talk about. We can't act like Derrick Henry wasn't a problem for Pittsburgh to defend the last time they played. You get the man 25 carries in this game, you're probably going to win. That's just my thoughts. The fact that you got Charlie Kohler back as a really strong blocking tight end. You also got Patrick Ricard, and then the option game for Lamar Jackson. I think Pittsburgh is going to have a hard time continuing to defend the run. 2 of their defensive tackles, Larry Ogunjobi and Keanu Benton, they are more known as pass rushing defensive tackles. Their PFF grade for pass rushing is much higher than it is for run defense. So take that as you will. I think you got to make Pittsburgh sell out to stop the run. And you give your one-on-one opportunities to Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Rashad Bateman. Let's not pretend like Rashad Bateman isn't a first-round pick and that he doesn't have a strong chemistry with Lamar Jackson and that he's not capable of being a wide receiver 1. He absolutely is. In fact, that's what Lamar Jackson said a few weeks ago. He said, Bateman, I see as a wide receiver 1. And their chemistry has built. He's a true playmaker, man. Go watch the tape, but you can also look at the stats and the production he's had this year. I'm 100% in on Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely carrying the load. Another big aspect is Nelson Agholor should be returning for this game. We're going to talk about some injury updates for the Steelers and the quote from Rich Eisen, MVP talks and more. But before that, we got some more good news for the Ravens. It's looking like Justice Hill and guard Patrick McCary should be ready to roll for this game. Justice Hill got hurt during the last time we played the Pittsburgh Steelers. He ripped off that big explosive run, and then towards the end of it, had a bad concussion. His neck kind of snapped back, and it looked really bad at first, but Justice Hill was cleared. He was good with the concussion protocol, but got really sick, so he wasn't able to practice in order to actually get cleared from the concussion protocol, if that makes any sense. Patrick McCary was also sick. Andrew Voorhees filled in last week, so at number 3, let's talk about some injury updates for the Steelers. It's important to note, one of the reasons I was saying earlier I'm a little bit nervous for this game is because the last time the Ravens played Pittsburgh, it was a 100% a dominant win against the Steelers. However, they did not have Deshaun Elliott, their starting safety, former Baltimore Raven. They didn't have Dante Jackson, high-level starting quarterback, Larry Ogunjobi, and their wide receiver 1, George Pickens. So they were without, several elite players on their defense and their wide receiver 1 for their offense. This time, the narrative might be flipped a little bit in the fact that we won't have our wide receiver 1 and they will have George Pickens. So in the first matchup, whenever the teams were both a little bit healthier, the Ravens did not win that game. That wasn't due to strictly talent and stuff. The Ravens missed 2 field goals early on. They had over 100 penalty yards. They had a few turnovers as well. Derrick Henry fumbled, Isaiah Likely fumbled, and just the Ravens, they were also on the road. They were in Pittsburgh, still almost won that game, but they weren't able to pull it out at the end. This is just a divisional nasty game. where teams are familiar with each other, so you're not going to surprise each other a lot with scheme stuff. You are familiar with the play style, the strengths, the weaknesses. So it's going to be a nitty-gritty game. However, man, I'm fired up for what this defense is about to do. The mentality, they're coming in with Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton setting the tone. Out of Beat Gay, Travis Jones a lot healthier, Michael Pierce back healthy. The outside linebackers, Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy. I was looking back at some tape, watching some film to try to get familiar, try to get as prepared as possible for this game so I can bring you the highest level of analysis I can. Odafe Owe was given both tackles major problems in both games against the Steelers, but specifically in the first week, I think he had 2.5 sacks. So look out for Owe and this defensive line to wreak havoc on Russell Wilson. All right, let's talk about some Steelers updates. He says that Dante Jackson, the back injury, is something they'll watch closely this week, but he feels good this morning. They will watch his recovery throughout the week to determine if he'll play or if Corey Trice, their other cornerback, will start instead. I think Joey Porter Jr. will probably be on Rashad Bateman most of the game. So Nelson Aguilar, if he's getting the start opposite of Bateman, we'll be seeing a lot of Dante Jackson and or Corey Trice. Mike Tomlin also says that he's open to utilizing Justin Fields versus the Ravens. It's reported by a Pittsburgh journalist that does not mean Justin Fields will start, but that the Fields package could be utilized. So you guys can remember, first time we played Pittsburgh, Justin Fields comes out on the option to ice the game against the Ravens. Second time we played Pittsburgh, Justin Fields was out with an injury. So keep your eye on that situation. Another update is their starting guard, Mason McCormick, broke his hand versus the Bengals. They're going to try to get it casted up and everything like that. I don't know what that means as far as whether or not he can play. To me, it sounds like he can't, but they were making it sound like they're going to get it casted up and try to get him available. So there's a couple of injury updates for both sides of the football. Man, this game's going to be so intense. But at number 4, here's what Rich Eisen had to say, who is one of the greatest reporters, broadcasters, narrators. Really love Rich Eisen's work. And he has a real strong beat and feel for the Ravens, always has. Here's what he had to say on them being a threat to win the entire thing this year.
So the Baltimore Ravens are, in fact, the champions of the AFC North, and they're your 3 seed in the playoffs. And now the question remains, how deep can they go? And how much of a threat are they in the AFC and a threat to win the whole shooting match in the Super Bowl? And you and I both know, even those who think they doubt this team, and even those who may be haters of this team, you all know the Ravens are real, with a deep threat to win it all. And you could even make the case that this Ravens team is better set up this year to win it all than last year. This is their second year in the Todd Monken offense. This is the second year for Lamar Jackson in this offense, and he looks way more comfortable. He's got Derrick Henry to balance it out. Now, Zay Flowers' knee injury concerns me, but the defense is cooking, and you also need a coaching staff that is well-versed in how to get there, that they're being the Super Bowl. And John Harbaugh clearly is. So the Ravens are as interesting as ever. And as I mentioned, they're well-equipped, if not better equipped this year than previous years, including last year, to go win it all. So congratulations, Ravens fans. You should be genuinely excited. And man, Derrick Henry, bro, you keep being you. That was truly remarkable.
At number 5, MVP voting is officially today. So we obviously won't know who the MVP is right away, but the NFL will know who their guy is, who's going to win it. And Lamar Jackson, here's a couple of records he broke. First player in NFL history with 40 passing touchdowns and 4 or fewer interceptions. Wow. First player with 40 passing touchdowns and 600-plus rushing yards. First player in NFL history with 4,000 pass yards and 800-plus rush yards. First player in NFL history to average 8.5 yards per pass and 6 yards per carry in the same season. By the way, he led the NFL in yards per pass and yards per carry. if that doesn't scream generational, unheard of, best dual threat quarterback of all time, when you lead the NFL in yards per attempt passing and yards per rush, like, man, that's absolutely absurd. Plus, Lamar Jackson was actually 3-0 versus Josh Allen and Joe Burrow this season. In those games, 10 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions, man. So whether or not he wins it, he's got his eyes on a bigger prize. Obviously, Derrick Henry with his quote, John Harbaugh with how fired up he is right now. The whole team has their eyes again on this Pittsburgh Steelers matchup. The Steelers are in their way from accomplishing what they want to accomplish, and I can't wait to see how this thing shakes out. Hopefully, we host Pittsburgh in Baltimore, beat their brakes off, get Zay Flowers back healthy for a road trip probably against Buffalo or someone else. Go win that game and make a run to the Super Bowl, man. So let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section below. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.